Okay, so welcome on our webinar, our community, our volunteer project, Quay UA in Canada, uh, uh, has a really great, important guest. It's Boris Paluda. He's an old my friend, and so I want to start his presentation from my personal story, because you know already that's mostly our guest. It's
Our guests
about personal story.
about business.
So many years ago, particularly in December 12th, I met Boris for the first time. I was in job search, and Boris did a really great exercise. He bought me a glass of beer and walked through my resume. And we had a really great time together. And as the result, I understood that I was on the right track. My resume was in a good shape, and several great comments he added were very helpful. Of course, it was why I'm listening some duplication of my voice sometimes. Okay, so nevertheless, I want to introduce Boris, and I believe he can tell a little bit more about himself in terms of his particular job, his last several years of experience. From testing, he moved to educational business, and he is a successful entrepreneur. He is a manager. And welcome, Boris. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Misha. Guys, I want to thank you for using your webcams. I really appreciate it. For me as a presenter, as a teacher, that means a lot. Okay, so if I don't see a person, I feel like I want to wrap up and and say goodbye. You'll say that's a two-way street, right? So one thing again, thank you so much for joining us today, and hope I can share some information with you that you find valuable and hopefully will help you in your career, career transition or whatever you're looking for, or whatever change you're looking for. So first of all, I wanted to kind of give you a heads up. So I live in Canada for quite a while now. I moved to Canada in 1992. I come from my father is coming from Zhytomyr and Ukraine and Kyiv and Zhytomyr. My father's family is there. My mother's side is Kazan, and so kind of a mix there. And I still have a brother in Kyiv. I just visited him right before this, all this insanity started. And I had an amazing time. Went to Kyiv, went to Cherkasy, went to Zhytomyr. Went to the cemetery of all my ancestors, right? So it was a good time. I was trying to start a partnership with state universities in Kyiv and Cherkasy. That, of course, with everything that's happened in that, of course, now is completely out of question. So my English never got great, but my Russian suffered dramatically, right? So my Russian is not good anymore, but English kind of still working on it. So, but I hope I can share some good info with you today. Before we go there, what I wanted to do is I wanted to just ask you, give us maybe a 30 seconds or a minute, a little bit about yourself, so I get a bit of a perspective on what kind of information I can share with you. I know you probably know each other quite well, but I would like to have a bit of a perspective on where you're coming from in terms of education and background, expertise, experience, and what kind of change you are looking for. And now, of course, I'm talking about career.
Yeah, so we have 16 participants today, and so to make it easier, I just ask everyone to present themselves in 30 seconds, right?
Yes, that'd be
Okay,
great.
so let me start from myself. So I'm a coordinator of this project way in Canada. So I started this project almost 2 years ago, and since then we helped more than 50 participants to land their first job in Canada. 3 of them already changed their job, and I believe most of our successful participants are making really great career. So they work in very in very attractive working places, and I'm really proud of what we accomplished during that period. So Lenya, could you please go next?
Yes, my name is Leonid, short Leo. In Canada, it's easier for everyone. Came from Kharkov, Ukraine, more than 10 years ago. Like work in several companies. Currently, take a position as the lead as that. Would be interesting to hear what Boris has to talk about. Personally, working on some of my startups and also growing as the specialist. Thank you.
Yeah, Leo helps our project participants, first of all, from technical perspective. Katerina, could you please go next?
Yeah, hi, I'm newcomer to Canada, so I arrived to Canada in the end of December 2023 from Uzhgorod, and originally I am from Slaviansk. It's Donetsk region, and I worked in finance for 5 years and in EMS sector. It's electronics manufacturing, so I was a production planner and master planner. And 2.5 years ago, I switched to IT, and I worked as a manual QA. And now I try to improve my skills to start automation.
Great.
Sounds great. Katerina, which city are you located now?
Ottawa.
Ottawa. Thank you. Thank you. Ksenia, please.
Hello. My name is Ksenia. I'm from Kharkiv. And I have worked as quality assurance engineer even 3 years. In Canada, I'm near the year, and I'm looking for a job like all. I work like a manual QA, but in Canada, I started learning automation testing and had some success in this field.
Thank you. Thank you. Ksenia is located in Calgary.
Yes.
Polina?
Hi, my name is Polina. I was born in Kharkiv region. However, I've lived for almost 20 years in Kyiv before moved to Canada. I'm a career changer. By my first profession, I'm a musicologist and a musical critic. I have changed my profession 3 years ago. I'm experienced in both manual testing and test automation. Now I live in Vancouver since April of 2022 year. Now I work in Deloitte as a QA analyst, and I would like to grow both as a manual tester and test automation. Thank you.
Thank you, Polina.
Located
Dmitro?
in Vancouver, I'm sorry.
Dmitro?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dmitro, or Dima, whatsoever. We came here in Canada like a year ago. Right now, I'm located in Calgary. I'm an automation QA with more than 5 years of experience, mainly with Python and JavaScript. And I also have like fine. I'm a switcher, so I have a lot of experience in digital marketing, web development, project management, so a lot of stuff. And right now, like in the middle of the process of searching job here as a QA, of course. Thank you so much.
Dmitro, are you located? Where you located? Please remind me.
In Calgary.
In Calgary. Perfect. Perfect. The next one is Foza. Foza is my old good friend from Montreal. She's from Iran. Foza, can you please present
Yes.
yourself?
Hi, everyone. As Mikhail said, I'm Mikhail's friend. I can say I'm Mikhail's trainee, the first trainee, and he helped me a lot in this journey to become a QA tester. I came from Iran in 2015, and after challenging with learning English and French together, because I'm located in Montreal, and working in a lot of domain, and not my domain. I was in IT domain when I was in Iran, and he helped me a lot to find my career. And now I'm a QA analyst, and recently I was after finishing my job, I hired in another company, and I will start my working at the 1st of April.
Excellent. Thank you for the Eduard.
Well, I'm in Vancouver for quite a long time, more than 10 years ago already, and I'm not actively looking for a job, but I couldn't afford missing this event because I know a thing or two about Boris. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Eduard helps a lot to our project, participates in many webinars, roundtables. Thank you. So, Tanya.
Hi. I arrived in Canada almost 2 years ago. It was July 2022. With my 2 boys, we fled from the war. And in the beginning of searching a job, I met Mikhail, and I'm really happy about that. He helped me a lot with my resume and mock-up interviews. In 1 month and a half, probably, I have found a job here in New Brunswick, and I work for a government company, Service New Brunswick. Currently, I am quality assurance analyst. I'm lead on 3 projects, and my goal is to continue growing this sphere and learn more automation.
Thank you so much. So we have one more, Katerina. Katerina, could you please present yourself?
Yes, hello. My name is Katerina. I'm originally from Odessa. We came to Canada so 6 months ago, and I'm involved in startup as QA right now on volunteering basis, and recently had like so-called promoted to QA lead, and we are so trying to make the startup better. And I have my freelance project as well, so yeah, but currently trying to find some full-time permanent job as a QA manual QA engineer. And now I'm in Toronto. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katerina. Vlada.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vlada. I'm originally from Sumy and Kiev, and arrived to Canada around 1 year and a few months ago. I am software QA with 4 years of industry experience. I have worked in both manual and automation testing. I have been to looking for job in Canada twice, and right now I'm found a job and working in a small startup, and I'm also volunteering on a project called Your Hub. it's platform for Ukrainian business. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vlada. Dmitro?
Hello. So I'm originally from Odessa. We arrived to Canada 1.5 years ago. I came to IT in 2012, I believe, and mostly was working as a manual QA test lead, and the last several years I'm working as a QA manager in the company which is working on the insurance products. I'm not actively looking for a job right now, but I believe it would be great to get the experience and knowledge of Canadian job market specifics. It's really interesting. And it's important. Thank you.
Thank you. Where are you located?
I'm in Toronto, not actually in Toronto itself, but there's 90 kilometers to the north. There's a Barrie city. Yeah,
Barrie,
it's a small one. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
thank you. Thank you. Наташа, которая отмечена как маркетолог у нас.
Good evening. My name is Natalie. I'm original from Luhansk region and Kharkiv, but I came in Canada from Kyiv. I came in Canada 2022 June, and last year I looking job in like manual QA. I have great experience like digital marketolog. I've worked more 12 years as such a digital marketolog, but I switched my career and now I active looking manual QA position. And I studying now testing automation from Java Selenium.
Thank you. Thank you. Natasha
Thank
is
you.
located in Calgary.
Yeah.
Natasha Kostюк. Наташ, вы слышите меня?
Да, yes, thank you. My name is Natalia Kostюk. I am living in Vancouver. I arrived to Canada more than 1 year ago. I am experienced manual QA with 11 years of testing. I worked as a manual QA, but I performed some automation testing, and now I am looking a job as a quality assurance analyst in Vancouver. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Natasha. Helen, Lena.
Oh, I am outside right now. Cannot talk much.
Okay. Okay, no problem. No problem. No problem. Thank you. So everyone knows you. So Helen helps us. So she has a lot of experience, and I believe you and Boris know each other. Игорь. Игорь, вас не слышно. Okay, so yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Igor Deminu. So I also live in Calgary. Was like I arrived to Canada like June last year, and I was working as a manual QA for approximately 9 years. I was also involved in some automation, but not very much, I would say. Yeah, so mainly like QA, but all parts of manual QA and also API test. So currently actively looking for a job, like a survival job, I mean, but find a QA job would be great.
Thank you. Thank you, Igor. Boris, it looks like we are done. It's all yours.
Amazing. I didn't realize we had so many people. I initially thought it was only eight people online, but now we ended up like twice as many. All right. Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself. I really appreciate it. Now I have a pretty good picture of you know, what to cover and what context as well. So Okay, well then now I need to introduce myself, right? So I came to Canada in 1992. I was a professional musician at that time. So Polina, if you find any of my renditions of Tchaikovsky and Rachmaninoff and on YouTube, please don't critique too hard, okay? Yeah, so anyways, now back to tech. So what happened when I moved to Canada? I worked for Opera Company in Ottawa. I think we have people from dialing in from Ottawa. Worked for National Arts Center, an opera lyre company in several opera productions. Then pretty quick, I realized that Canada was not for me. So I thought I'm gonna go back to my hometown where I was born in Vladivostok. So I thought I'm gonna go check out the West Coast before I go, right? And at that time we had flights from San Francisco through Anchorage to Vladivostok. So I was thinking, I'm gonna go check out the West Coast and go back home. Canada is not a place for me. So when I came to Vancouver, that was my kind of connection. I was supposed to stay in Vancouver for only a few days before moving down to San Francisco to catch my flight. And the moment I walked out of the terminal, I had just one breath of fresh air, look at the mountains and sea breeze, and I realized, like literally that moment, I realized I was home. And I never regretted that decision ever since. So I absolutely love Vancouver with all my heart, and everything I love is here. So ocean, mountains, skiing, sailing, everything. Now, what happened back then is that I worked for Opera Company, right? What does it have to do with tech? So I had a background in engineering background. I studied in the Moscow Aviation Institute, MAI, if anyone is familiar. So part MAI, part Moscow Institute of Moskovsky Institute Инженерно-гражданской авиации, which used to be a branch of KIGA back in the days. So I had an engineering background. So when I started with what I was doing in music and back in 1992, I quickly realized that you cannot make a living in Canada with music, with any kind of arts. So it's just absolutely impossible. It's all volunteer, or literally they paid. I was paid $100 for one production, right? I even had tiny little solo pieces, but still only volunteer work. So I realized that I have to reach out to my engineering background and whatever I studied back in university. Back then, I did COBOL, I did Fortran. We did a lot of stuff, right? So of that sort, but I was never really good at it. But I realized that I have to do it, right? So since 1994, I got into IT permanently and full time. As part of the helping people to connect, set up Windows 3.11 and plugging computers together, and helping people with DOS based emails and things like that, right? So pretty quickly, I moved on to development. About in 1996, 97, I became a developer. If any one of you familiar with some Smalltalk, very old, pure object-oriented stuff. So I became a developer. I would very short time, I quickly realized that writing code is not my thing. I like to work with people. So I pretty quickly transitioned into leadership roles. Team lead, and in late 90s and early 2000s, I became project manager, and at some point I moved to became a program director, and as a result, in 2007, I was part of TELUS Communications. You're probably all familiar with TELUS, and for TELUS, I was in different roles. One of them was business systems analyst. And business systems analyst, I will talk about roles in software engineering projects in a minute. So business systems analyst, or as they refer to as BSA, is someone who is basically very, very versed in different roles and responsibilities. So if they want to bring you on board, if they really like you, but they don't have any openings, what they will do is they will actually give you a BSA title, right? And BSA can be technical, can be non-technical, can be in leadership. And so basically at some point I was running projects, and I had even at some point 8 projects on my plate. So the moment you are leading more than one project, you become program manager and program director. So I do have that experience as well. So, but what I wanted to share with you from the beginning, why I'm here and how I can help you, right? In 2015, when I started actually teaching, what I didn't mention is I started teaching in 2004. I had people that are speaking my language, my cultural background, my ethnic background, people coming to me saying, "Hey, Boris, can you got this amazing job? Can you help me out? Like resume and, you know, just guidance on what I need to do to land a job." So I have 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, and all of a sudden I found myself in, you know, running small groups. In 2015, I faced the situation where I had to choose between my day job, which is consulting, IT consulting, and starting a training facility, which I go for a latter, right? I went for starting a school. I kind of still thinking, I don't know how to feel, whether to regret the decision or not. I mean, financially, you know, if you transition from IT to education, so you should really love what you're doing, because financially it's a huge impact, enormously huge, right? So in 2015, I started college. I don't know if any one of you was curious and looked me up online, so you would probably find it right away. The college, my school was called Paludo Institute of Technology and Media. I was ambitious. I was thinking of starting a film production program, and we actually started the whole school was started around programming QA. So my first version of this program was 2 months. I was just helping people with the engineering background to become QA analysts, manual QA testers, so to speak, right? So I'm not really a big fan of tester term. I like QA analyst. So I was training people on QA analysis related roles, and helping people with their professional profile and getting them ready for the interview, and people started landing jobs. My second version was 4 months. Another version was 6 months. So it kind of started growing into what it is now. In 2019, what I didn't mention is I had within some groups, I had pretty high employment outcomes. In some groups, I had 65, 85. I had a couple of groups, small groups, 6 people, that I had 100% employment outcomes. So people landing jobs. And to this day, I am in contact with many, many people in the industry who were at some point my students. So I have students in Boeing, IBM, Lululemon is literally packed with my students. PHSA, which is a government organization called Provincial Health Service Authority, is our BC governing, you know, healthcare governing body. Vancouver Coastal Health, University of British Columbia, BC Hydro, ICBC. So basically, my students are everywhere. Even some of them are guest speakers, and even some we have instructors that are teaching for us. So there's a bit of a background. In 2019, somehow my school caught an interest of organization called Global University Systems, and in 2019 we merged. Well, it's not exactly merger, but more of an acquisition. So they bought my school. Okay. They didn't buy everything. I still retain portion of it. I'm still shareholder, but they're now, it's their headache. All the, you know, investor in budgets and money and investments, it's all their headache now. So, and they, of course, turn it to what it is now. Now we have a building, 5-story building at the corner of Smythe and Beatty in Vancouver downtown. 101 Smythe, 5-story, beautiful facility, absolutely incredible building. And we're approaching close to 1,100 students. So I think I like to share this story, not because I want to brag about what I've done. I just find it, when I talk about these things, people find it encouraging, because when I came to Canada, I didn't speak a word of English. So I literally didn't speak a single word of English. Well, maybe I know maybe a few words. They're not nice words. I wouldn't share them here. So, but that also, I worked, I cleaned construction garbage. I packed airplanes with bags, you know, the baggage handling. I washed dishes in Ottawa, by the way. Some people are from Ottawa. I was living in Ottawa first couple of years. I was washing dishes overnight, fast food restaurants, right? It was quite an experience. It was quite an experience. So, but that's what came out of it. I'm pretty happy with what I've done in terms of helping other people. And along the line, I met absolutely incredible, amazing people. So there's something to be proud of. There's something to be proud of. So in the context is, you come to this country, you work so hard towards learning English, you know, getting the either career transition and handling with the culture clash, right? So that is not easy. That is all not easy, but it is possible. It is doable, and I guarantee you 100%. I would not change a thing. Yes, I was, you know, first couple of years, I was kind of sour about things. Of course, I blame everything except myself. I blame local education. I blame local, you know, healthcare. I blame everything except myself, right? So when at some moment, it just hit me. I decided, like, hey, I gotta do something. Otherwise, it's not gonna happen. Nothing is gonna happen for me here. And when I took charge, and of course, things started happening. So what I want to do is I want to share, first I want to tell you why what I share with you today can be quite valuable, apart from, you know, motivation and encouragement, which I think is also important. I didn't start my career in tech as an employee. It's just by chance I became a consultant. So for my first job, they asked me, would you like a contract or would you like a full-time permanent position? And I had no clue what that meant, right? I said, can you explain to me? And they said this and this and this and that. Of course, not knowing where I am and what I need to do, I said, yeah, I would like full-time permanent, right? I don't want to be looking for another job a year later. I don't want to be, I want security of a full-time job. But unfortunately, they got back to me and said, you know what, our full-time actually no longer available, but if you want to, we can take you on contract. So my first job was a contract-based job. And at the end of the year, my contract was 1 year. At the end of the year, I faced the same situation. I say, well, my contract is up and I have to look for another job again. Of course, it was quite, it was nerve-wracking. It was even depressing, I would say, right? So then it took me maybe 15, 20 interviews, not that many. Then I landed another job, another contract. And then another contract was no more, no less, $10 an hour more. Back then, back in those years, it was huge change. So second contract ends. Again, I felt a little bit, you know, worried that, oh man, again, I can't believe it. I don't want to be looking for a job every year. And then I get another contract, and again, I get so much more money. I could not believe it, right? Now, so when I put 2 on the scale, I realized that I was really, really lucky that I got into consulting. That's what we refer to as doing contract work. Into consulting so early in my career, because I learned what it is. I learned that landing a job actually is not a big deal. If you know what you're doing, if you know the market, it's really not a big deal. But it's really rewarding to change jobs. Please be patient with me, okay? Don't think that I'm trying to tell you that it's great to change job every year, right? You're gonna think that I'm full of it, right? So there is a reason behind it. There's a reason that I'm saying that. So what happened is every single time I need to get a new contract, new gig, as we say, I would have to go through 10, 15, 20 interviews. Now, that was happening every year, year and a half, 2 years at most. So basically, if you ask me, yes, I never worked in one place more than a couple of years. With only one exception, Thales Communications, right? I landed a contract with them. I was leading some projects, started as a QA analyst, moved on to pretty quick in different roles. So I wasn't, I was a contractor, was a consultant for a couple of years. And then they asked me, you know what, we're cutting all of our contractors. So if you want to stay, you must transition to a full-time permanent role. So I gave it a thought. I was thinking for a couple of weeks. And then I said, yeah, why not? I'm going to try it. And I was full-time permanent employee with Thales for another, I think, 2 years or 2.5 years. And that was it. That was only time I was a full-time permanent employee in my life. And for my personal opinion, I never go back to full-time permanent employment role. I will explain why. It doesn't mean that full-time is bad and contract is good. It's just my preference, something I like better. So doing this every year, or a year and a half or 2 years, first I go through 10 to 20 interviews in order to land a contract. And starting early 2000, from early 2000s, as soon as I get a new contract, my being in leadership, my first task usually was to actually assemble a team, to build a small project team. In order to build a small project team of 5 people, you need to conduct how many interviews do you think? At least 50. That minimum 50. You need to conduct about 50 to 60, maybe more interviews in order to bring on board just a few people, 5 people or so. So what I'm trying to say is, all these years, I want to share my experience of being not only doing this job, but also being on both sides of interview table, okay? Now, I can tell you that I have a workshop that I run, like extended workshops, series of workshops of 2 weeks, 40 hours, when I only talk about employability, employment, professional profile, preparing for interviews and things like that. And people land pretty amazing jobs. But we only have a little bit of time today, so I'm gonna give you a kind of a compressed version of the same thing, extremely compressed version, okay? So first, what I want to say is, if you don't have a job, or you're thinking about changing a job or transition, if you're, say, I hear someone here already a QA manager, right? So you probably too want to grow regardless where you are. You always want to grow, right? So how do you go around it? How do you go about it? Here's the problem. I don't have a job. I want a job, right? So what do I need to do for that? Number one, I think number one thing you need to do is you need to sit down and think. What is needed, where you are, what do you have, and what's missing? Now, one thing that is, I think, quite dangerous is to start over-analyzing. I am not getting a job because of this, and that, and I have to work on this. This is just going to get tremendously overwhelming, right? Now, how do you simplify that picture and just think for yourself, no, maybe it's not that bad, you know? Because if you have that understanding that it's really actually not that bad, it's not that difficult, all I need to do is to know what to do, right? You need to have the information. Once you armed with actual information and precise guidance and step on what to do, then everything else is just a matter of putting an effort, right? Now, again, so what do? First, if you don't have a job, if you want one and you don't have a job, there are only two problems. There's not a series of, you know, complex topics to analyze, just only two things on your way. Number one is your resume. Number two is your interview skills, okay? Now, resume is, you got to take it seriously. You have to understand that building a resume is a project on its own. And I will share a resume template of a resume with you today, not template, actual resume that I turned to a template, right? And hopefully you know, find it valuable. So I'm going to show you later on, I'm going to show you a resume example of what we work with. Now, how do you know if your resume is good or not? It's pretty, actually pretty straightforward. Now, how many people do you know that say, you know what, I can't land a job because market is really bad. There are simply no jobs out there. That's one thing. Another thing is, I can't get a job because I don't have a Canadian experience. That's a famous one. Everybody says, I don't have Canadian experience, that's why I can't land a job. That's the second one. What else? Another things I heard, people say, nobody needs us here. Okay, so it's kind of a sour one, right? But still, you can hear quite a lot of that stuff. So then another one, then another, you're gonna get tons of things that are really, if you listen to it, a person never really says that, you know what, maybe I'm not doing this right, or maybe I don't do of that enough. So it's always somebody else's fault, okay? Now, this is really dangerous way to go. So what you need to start with, I will do it no matter what. That's one thing, right? Now, what do I do to build a good resume? Now, do I have a good resume? How do you know your resume is good or not? If you don't get, it's very straightforward. If you don't get at least 3 or 4 phone calls a week, not a month, a week, that means your resume needs work. If your phone is silent, that means you need to take your resume and send it straight to, you know, to the trash bin. Okay, so if your phone rings 3 or 4 times a week, that means your resume is good. Now you're done. Now forget that part and be careful from if some people, different people approach you and say, you know what, you need to modify your resume. You need to tailor your resume for this role, for that role. You're going to quickly lose track of all the changes, right? Unless you're one of those people that are really, really well organized. That's not me for sure. So now, first, you put a lot of effort onto your resume. And what you need to do is you take your resume once you think it's good. And you talk to Misha, you talk to other people that you know have a lot of experience and say, listen, can you have a quick look? Can you tell me if you think it's good or not, or if I'm good to go? The moment you get this, your resume look good, just you're good to go for it. What do you do after that? After that, you do a bit of research. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to just go to that infamous career link. You know, you go to the website, company website, click careers, and see what their job postings are, and you start applying, right? And you start applying 1, 10, 100 applications, and your phone is silent, nothing's happening. Again, your phone is silent, There's nothing else, only your resume, okay? Now, if your phone starts ringing, that's when you need to actually, you know, as I refer to it, take that first skydiving, skydive. So you cannot go to the second, third, or fourth interview right off the start. You need to go to that first interview, right? And that first interview, you need to prepare yourself for a disaster. And I really mean it. First interview, you're going to be crushed. I've seen countless people that go to that first interview and they go, you know what? I wasted years of my life. I went to this training that didn't give me anything. This person that my mentor doesn't know anything. So you start, just because you get emotional, right? You start blaming everything and everyone. Now, what you need to do is, yeah, well, Misha warned me, Boris warned me that I'm going to get through this first experience of first interview, where it's going to be really, really, literally destructive, emotionally destructive, right? So you take a day. You don't take a week. You don't take 2 weeks to recover. You take a day. Go to a liquor store if you need to, right? So have a beer with your family. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off. Day number 2, you go right into it again, okay? So what's going to happen? First 3, 4, 5 interviews, you are going to be quite rough, It's going to be pretty poor experience. And now, once you get over this interview number 5, number 6, that's where you're going to become powerful. You will start believing in yourself. You will start understanding that you actually do have a lot of value. You have something to sell, right? Now, another thing that I say quite often, guys, if you think that landing a job after interview number 1 is a success, think twice. I truly believe, I'm quite confident that if you land a job in interview number 1, it's not a success. It's a failure. It's actually a pretty bad failure. You may wonder, like, are you out of your mind? No, I'm pretty, I know what I'm talking about. I've seen it with hundreds and hundreds of my students since 2004. And I will explain why. Here's the thing. Remember I said that interview number 1 is going to be quite a disappointing experience for both sides of the table, actually, right? So even though you don't have a lot of interview skills and you do really, really poor job on the interview, right? And they still offer you a job. Do you think they're going to offer you decent money? Do you think they're going to look at you as quite valuable, quite needed, the person that they would really love to hire, right? They will hire you because they just want to, maybe cover that particular hole in their team for now, right? And they will offer you very little money. Now, what happens is, let's count. How do you know you're making 6 figures? And you all know what 6 figures is, right? So the moment you get over $100,000 a year, that means you're making 6 figures. Now, how do you know that your hourly rate is, say, $40 an hour or $60 an hour, right? How do you know what you're making a year? Sometimes they just give you an hourly rate, right? So it's very straightforward, very simple. If you're making $45 an hour, that means $90,000 a year. If you're making $60 an hour, that means $120,000 a year. So roughly, hourly rate times 2. And that's what you get, very close, actually. Not even, it's actually very, very close to your annual wages, right? So basically, $50 an hour calculates to the 6-figure trash point, right? Okay, now your resume, and again, I'm going to show you a version of a resume later. Now, your resume is generating phone calls. What do you do to prepare for your interview? First of all, and I'm people say, Boris, you just enough with that thing already. Not enough, never enough. First thing you need to do is you need to prepare something I call tell me about yourself script. Now, when you go to the interview, I guarantee you, in 99% of cases, first question will be, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself? So what they do is they structure interview in the way that they will tell you a little bit about a company first. They will tell you about the processes, maybe about the actual product, what their team, what they do, and they give you, sometimes they give you quite a presentation, you know, maybe up to 15, maybe even more. Some people like to talk, just like me, right? So there you listen to them for 10 minutes, this is actually a very important point right now. You need to forget that you're nervous. Forget that, well, if you can, of course, try do the best you can to, because you need to be very sharp at that moment. What they tell you about the company, you need to try to bring it up later in the interview, right? That will make you look really good, okay? Now, for the interview, once they finish telling you about the team and, you know, the product they're building and stuff like that, first thing they're going to say is, okay, so on that note, why don't we just start with you telling us a little bit about yourself, okay? Now, you would not believe 99.9% of people, they act like they've never heard this question before. They, right from the start of the interview, they start struggling. Or they give you something like, my name is Boris, I have 3 years of experience, and they give you something boring, extremely boring. And I'm thinking, okay, I want to hire you. You don't look at me, you don't sound anything that excites me, anything special, right? So you need them something really nice, really special, something that makes them feel like, wow, this is a really nice person. That's very interesting. It'd be really cool to bring someone like that into our team. Because no matter how much you know, they will not hire you based on your technical background. Maybe a surprise for you, but I absolutely promise you that. Now, if you are there, if you are at the interview, of course, if you didn't lie through your teeth with your resume, that means if you are at the interview, that means you already have what they're looking for. All you need now is to make them like you, literally, you know? So, and if you do a really good job on that, tell me about yourself answer to a question, right? Then for the rest of the interview, they will be actually helping you. Even if you feel not certain, not confident at some point, they will actually try to go out of their way to help you, okay? Based on that, because believe it or not, tell me about yourself will be pretty easy, 80% of the decision made already for the rest of the interview. So the rest of the interview will go based on how you do with that first question. How do you deal with it? What do you do to make sure that you really impress them? Make sure you don't say things like, hi, I'm Boris, I have 3 years of experience. I work with Selenium. I like Python. I write Python, and you gotta give them a piece of your personality. Okay. Do not talk about your experience. Do not talk about technology. I mean, do not talk about Python or Java or C# or AWS. Do not talk about this stuff. What they want is they want to see you. Now, what do you do at this point? You give them a nice, beautiful story about how you ended up being in this field of work, okay? So how do you become a QA developer? Or how do you become, test engineer or test architect or whatever your role is, right? Now, how do you do that? You give them a little bit of a background. You know what, my education comes from finances, and I was working with this people that are building software, finance management software, and because of my background in finances, they asked me to have a look at it. I looked at it, and that resulted in the offer of QA analyst. So I moved into this role, and I never looked back. I'm really happy to work with such an amazing people. My team lead is an incredible mentor. See what I'm doing? I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about what happened with me in life that brought me to this place. So when you sell yourself, when you do that at the interview, you need to remember just simple guidelines. Do not praise yourself. If you want them to like you, do not praise yourself. Praise others. Praise your team leads, praise your mentors, praise the projects that you were part of and how much you learned in it. So you need to get your personality across as somebody who is really grateful, right? Grateful and really nice personality that their team will be really happy to work with. So now what I recommend to do for tell me about yourself. You actually need to, believe it or not, you actually need to script it. I highly recommend to script it. So what you do is you actually write a script. Then you read it, you time it, and you see how much time it takes you. If it takes you more than 40 seconds, you're too long. You would not believe how much you can actually say within 40 seconds. Okay? So what you do, you come up with a script and then you start practicing it. First thing, you look at it and you read it back and you look at it. Is it formal? Do you have things like dear sir, madam in it? Stay away from this stuff. Stay away from formal language. Be casual, be simple and easy, Now, you read it and you think, yeah, I'm doing really good within 40 seconds. I praise others. I come across as grateful person, and I get the message across that I'm really happy to be part of, being in tech sector, overall, nothing but positive and nothing but happy. Okay, so that's the main guidelines for that. Now, for the rest of the interview, if you do a good job and tell me about yourself, which I promise you will perfect it within first 3 to 5 interviews. Again, first interview, you're going to be nervous. You're going to be a train wreck after first interview, a couple of interviews, right? But once you feel you're starting to get really good at it, then you see that the rest of the interview all of a sudden is really not that difficult. It's actually nice, right? Now, for the rest of the interview, nowadays, literally, they don't really ask a lot of questions people skills and soft skills in QA. They still do. But what they do is they try to move on to more technical stuff. And here, don't be mistaken, okay? They ask you technical stuff, but they're actually not looking at what you answer, but how you answer it, okay? They want to see whether you are capable of analyzing, seeking help, and literally resolving a problem, even if you don't have any knowledge within within that domain. So if they ask you a difficult question, what do? Say somebody asks you, have you ever worked with ABC? And you have no clue what ABC is. Now, what you do is you have to be, again, confidence is really important, right? You need to get across as a confident person, and asking questions, asking back is one of the things that makes you really confident, makes you look really as a confident person. Now, what do you do if you don't know what ABC is? Simply ask. You're saying, what exactly ABC is? And what they will do is they will ask the question again, but they always, in the second iteration of that question, they always give you clues, very clear clues, or even sometimes actually they will give you an answer within the question itself. So the second question will give you some kind of indication whether it's relevant to something like stuff like GitHub, or maybe it's relevant to Jira. Maybe it's relevant to some kind of documentation stuff. What you do is you say, if they ask you, have you worked with ABC? And you go, you know, once you realize that's something to do with project management or issue management, bug tracking, what you do is you go, you know, I've done quite a bit of work with Jira, and I worked quite a bit with Atlassian tools in the past, and so bug tracking and defect management is not a big problem, and so ABC is not going to be any issue for me. So you never said no. You actually give them the picture that they actually know the stuff, right? You work with different tools, and you're quite confident that no new tools will not be any problem for you. Okay, so that's one of the things. Now, before I show you a sample of a resume, what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about how do you actually look for a job. Remember I said that career link, I refer to it as infamous career link or infamous apply online button. Not a big fan of that. I like to work with actual real life people. How do you get away from that apply online button? You can't really, you cannot. But you can also come from a different angle, from a different perspective. So what do? You all know the recruiting agencies, right? You call them staffing agencies, recruiting agencies, right? The recruiters, whatever you refer to them. Here's the thing. One thing I keep repeating again and again and again. Once you think your resume is good, no matter how good your resume is, you will never receive a single phone call if you don't expose your professional profiles to the rest of the world. How do you do that? Now with things like ChatGPT, what you need to do is you go and in that tool, in ChatGPT, you say, create a list of most popular, most active job boards in North America. And you can ask for 30, or you can ask for 15 in Canada, 15 in US. Yes, US. You heard it right. You have to create your professional profile in all of these boards, job boards in Canada. And I'm sure you know, you're probably well familiar with things like Indeed, Workopolis, Monster, and all that kind of stuff, right? So there is many. There are many. You have to go and create your professional profile in each and every one of them. So you find 15 in Canada, go there, and don't fall into that trap. How many years SQL? How many years Java? Skip that. Every single job board gives you opportunity to skip that questionnaire, skip that survey, and just go straight to that apply resume button. Upload your resume. Upload your resume. So you upload your resume, you're done. Forget it, move on to a different job board platform. Again, upload your resume, move on to another one. So at least 15. Now, in Canada, and you get at least 15 in the US. Yes, you absolutely must create profiles in US and US job board platforms or job platforms. Why? Because you will be surprised. You will be getting phone calls, assuming your resume is good. You will be getting phone calls from San Francisco, from Dallas, from Miami, from New York. I got countless phone calls offering you opportunities in Canada, even in British Columbia. Okay, this is how they work these days. There's no boundaries for them. They will find you a good job here, regardless where they are. Okay, I see that even people in India starting to get into this market. So they try to position themselves as agencies in US. They will rent a front desk, rent a 1-800 number in the US, but they're still sitting in Bangalore or somewhere, you know, in India. Now, here is when you will actually learn whether your resume is good or not. Once you create your profile and post your resume in all of these job boards, your email and your phone will go off the hook, okay? Your phone will start ringing, your email will start, you're gonna start getting tons of emails, okay? You need to prepare yourself for a little bit of a disappointment that you will get a lot of junk email, okay? There's nothing, it's a cause of doing business. There's nothing you can do about it. So, but you need to start learning to filter through those emails, because amongst all of the volume of junk emails, there will be good emails, okay? If you see the relevant role, something like you, what you're looking for, but it is, you see that it's a mass email. It's not specifically directed to you. What you need to do is you need to actually reply to that email, because that email will go to an actual person. And you attach your resume again and you send, hey, John, just got your email. I wanted you to have a look at my resume. Can you please have a look and let me know what you think? Did you see I never said, dear sir, never said, dear madam. I never did any of that formal, you know, BS. Pardon my language. But I truly, first not believe, I know for a fact, from my experience, first-hand experience, that you need to be simple, you need to be casual, okay? Recruiters, they're gonna think that something is wrong with you if you write a letter saying, dear sir, madam, okay? Now, another thing I want to point out here is that when you create your profile, do you still use that apply online button? Say you go to Electronic Arts, you see all the list of job postings, and you go, okay, this is good. Do you go to apply or not? Yes, you do. But you need to keep a good track of every single place that you applied. I can tell you why in a second. First, before you start sending your resume everywhere, you need to create a nice, really nice Excel spreadsheet. I refer to it as dashboard. So you create a dashboard for yourself. You need a name of the company, position that you applied for, your resume, the date that you sent, when you applied. Is there a specific email that you sent it to, right? So, and leave a couple of fields for, did you hear back from them or not? Because if you apply to 200 places, you will lose track of where you are after 10 applications. You know, you start forgetting where you applied, when, what those position titles. You need to keep a solid track. So not only position title that you applied for, all these job postings online, they all have job reference number. If you look around somewhere, you will find reference number. You need that part as well. And copy, paste it into your dashboard. Now, why you need it? If you never heard of it, there's something, maybe you heard of it. Most people never heard of it. There is something that called double submission. It's called double submission. What it means is, say agency got back to you from job board, or they say, listen, we just came across your profile, and I think we are good. You're a good fit for this job at Electronic Arts. We're filling roles for them, okay? Would you be okay if we submit your profile? You go, yeah, why not? You guys go ahead. I would love to work for Electronic Arts. Now, they submit your profile, and what happens at some point is what they do is they take your resume, both copies. If you forgot that you already applied to them 2 weeks ago or 1 month ago, so they look at your submission, right? So one came directly from you, one came from a recruiting agency. They look at it, they put your those two together and they send it straight to trash. And your name will be blacklisted, means your applications will not be considered by this company for next year. That is called double submission, okay? There is a legal reason behind it. Company will not be talking to you or the agency about your application. They will never talk. They just say, oh, we just decided to go with a different candidate. The reason being is if they bring you on board, if they hire you directly, recruiting agency will come up and say, hey guys, we have a contract with you to fill your roles, and how come you hired this person directly? I submitted profile, but you hire him directly. So companies like Electronic Arts, they work with agencies a lot, and they have agreements with them, contractual agreement with legal bindings. So they do everything they possibly can to stay away from any kind of legal issues that they might encounter, okay? So in order for you to avoid this double submission, you need to have that dashboard where you applied, when, job position title, and the reference number, because you may have 2 or even 3 or even more job postings with the same title, QA analyst. So Electronic Arts looking for 5 QA analyst roles to fill. It's the same position title, same project, same thing. They will have a different reference. Actually, no, I'm wrong. Sorry. They have multiple QA departments, multiple projects. So they may have looking for QA analysts for this project. They may looking QA analyst for a different project. It will be exactly the same job description, but it will have a different job reference number. Okay. So when recruiter reaches out to you and they say, you look like a good fit, can I submit your resume? You go, can you tell me what the position title is? And do you have a reference number? I just want to make sure that we avoid double submission issue. At that moment, you go in recruiter's eyes. You go from here to here, you know? So they will have an instant respect for you. They know that you know where you're coming from, you know your stuff, how market works, and things like that. Okay? Now, and then you just keep track, right? Now, another thing that I suggest, be careful from, you know, about this landing a job in the first interview. Prepare yourself mentally, get yourself into that mode of expecting disappointment. Interview number 1, number 2, number 3. Think of it as just gaining interview experience, okay? And after interview number 5, you will realize that, hey, wait a minute, I'm doing actually a pretty good job at it. So another thing is money. What is good money? What do you ask for? What do you settle for, right? So there's a lot of topics we can cover with coming specifically to negotiating money. It's really depends on where you're coming from, but I can tell you that right now, nowadays, $50 an hour is not a big deal for any role in QA. Okay, it's quite normal. Now, but you need to make sure they like you, right? Even if there is no automation, still $50 an hour is quite doable in this field, right? Now, if your English is really weak and you don't have any automation, that can be an issue, right? Because if you go in for manual automation, you will actually get a lot of business analyst responsibilities to fill, right? You will be walking around talking to technical people. That's where you need good communication skills. And when we talk about communication skills, I don't really mean that that you need to have a perfect English. Even if your English is not that great, if you use it confidently, then you're going to be totally fine. Even if you make mistakes and if you know, people make fun of you, oh, your pronunciation, oh, your grammar, don't worry. Just, you know, tell them to get away, these people, right? So what they hire 2 things, okay? That's all you need to remember. They hire 2 things. One is confidence, and another one is communication skills, okay? If you're confident and you speak confidently and you're a good listener, even if your English is weak, I've seen a lot of people with super weak English, and they just walk around talking to people like they totally don't care, right? And they land a job and they get raises and, you know, salary bumps and stuff like that. So confidence. Now, before I show you a resume example and before I gave you a couple of other slides, I hope I didn't wear you out yet. So just, you know, give me a few more minutes. I'm going to show you some cool stuff, okay? Now, one last suggestion, right? Recommendation, let's put it that way. If you feel that your English needs work, how do you improve your English rapidly? Not take years or even months. How do you make your English really good, really fast? Or at least take the confidence to a completely new level? Now, something that I learned many years ago when I was learning English, and again, I came to this country, I didn't speak a word of English, right? So what I learned is if you start reading out loud, not just reading, actually reading out loud, you take a topic, you can easily find 5 different articles. One article on sport, one article on business, one article on finances, one article on politics. It doesn't have to be a big article, just half a pager. That's it. And you can ask ChatGPT to create an article for you to practice reading English. And you can ask ChatGPT to create it on a certain level of complexity, right? Now, once you have that one pager, my girlfriend actually doesn't speak great English. She speaks much better now. But what we did is I created articles for her and I told her, just read. All you do is read out loud. Don't worry if you don't know the word. Keep reading, right? And she was reading and reading and reading out loud all these articles. Her English went through the roof in no time. The only one trick is you need to read out loud, not just lip syncing. I mean, not just lipping, right? Not just whispering. You need to read in full voice, just like I'm talking to you right now, okay? The result will shock you, okay? So that is something that may help you with your communication skills, building up on confidence. And if you start reading on QA topics, that you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. That's basically what it means, right? Now, so you're probably quite tired of me talking and talking. Guys, can you believe it? I have workshops like 4 hours in length. But I do give people breaks, right?
We can. You should be able to present, so to share your screen.
Yes. So what I want to do is I want to show you just a few slides, okay? Out of one of my presentations, out of my slides that I do. Let me see if I can share share screen. Okay, can you guys see?
Yes.
And you see just want to make sure that you're seeing the right thing. You just see one, welcome to CCTV, right?
Correct.
So this is the school that in 2015 was Paludo Institute of Technology and Media. And in 2019, it became Canadian College of Technology and Business. Now we have, I don't know, maybe close to 10 different programs in technology, just data engineering, software quality engineering, and cybersecurity, that kind of stuff, right? We also have now programs in business and hospitality. Now, but this is off topic. What I want to show you is, and some of you, and I have a feeling I have some people here that have probably seen this diagram years ago. Now, This diagram is something that I created years and years ago based on my experience in UBC, ICBC, you know, TELUS. Like, it's not something that they have, it's something that made sense to me. What I saw is a standard approach. Regardless, standard structure of software engineering team, of software development project team. Basically, regardless if you are in you know, agile environment, or if you're in massive project that I was part of, 600 people waterfall, we had tiny little agile pieces within it, but the initiative itself was actually waterfall. So it doesn't matter whether you're an agile or waterfall. So what I want to show you is this is basically a very high level of software development project team structure. Starting with business is people, you probably know who business analysts are. They analyze requirements, they build requirements, right? But they do something we call requirements analysis and definition. Then, based on the requirements, architecture creates design of future system. Now, once requirements, technical and business requirements created, then developers jump in, start working on implementation. They actually start building feature or actual product, right? And then we have, of course, we have QA. That's where you come in, because once they have a few lines of code, there is something to test, right? So they will give you a build, and then you will do whatever. You do manual testing, automation, or test planning, whatever your role is, right? And then, of course, we have people that are taking care of server side, you know, infrastructure people. They're taking care of everything that's happening on the server side from both software and hardware perspective, if need for hardware, and of course, data people that are responsible not for nothing else but only data, right? So now, why am I giving you this? It is pretty straightforward. I want to explain you why. So what I want to do is I want to show you position titles, okay? You have a lot more than just QA analyst to apply for, because different companies in this industry, they may call the same thing different names, right? You can hear somebody is looking for QA analyst, you go talk to them, but they're actually, in fact, looking for QA developer. Now somebody is looking for a QA tester, you talk to them, but they're actually looking for business systems analyst based on requirements. So honestly, you'd be surprised. People really, in many cases, they don't really know how to refer to that particular role they're trying to fill, okay? So in that case, I talk about some roles and responsibilities, different titles. In business, you have different kinds of business analysts, nothing special. In architecture, you have different kinds of architects. Not everybody knows that, right? Maybe self-explanatory, but still. Solution architect, somebody who designs the system on the logic side, right? Think of code. Data architect, someone who designs databases, right? Technical architect, someone who is responsible for designing infrastructure side, right? Then in development, there are different ways of referring to actual people who write code. My most favorite is solution developer. You can see it here. Solution developer. You can find software developer, just developer, or many different roles, but solution developer is something, if you use that terminology, they're going to instantly have quite a bit of respect for you, okay? Now, infrastructure, different titles, data, I'm not going to talk about data, but QA, where am I? There. In QA, you see this is very, very top of an iceberg, right? Software tester, not really that much you see of that anymore, but then QA analyst, quite popular. QA developer, quite popular. Test engineer, automation developer. Now, you know, first, when we have that as that, somebody is referred to as that. As that was not as that initially. First, it was SDIT, right? Software developer in test. And then pretty quickly, SDIT turned into SDET, right? And now it's quite a popular term, software developer in test, development engineer in test. Now, this is not it. You're going to have all kinds of testers, ETL testers, you know, data quality testers, data consolidation testers, penetration testers, tons and tons and tons of stuff, all right? So you can apply for all of them. I actually recommend people to go and apply for all of them, because if they look at your resume, you don't fit, they're not gonna call you back, right? But you need to understand that there's more than just one title. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about money. I understand it's pretty hot topic. So if you, Misha, if you get any inquiries, I can talk a lot about money, okay? Being a consultant, leading and hiring people. Now, let's skip that for now. And I'm not teasing you, really. So I know we would like to talk about it, but right now we don't really have luxury of time. So what I want is, I want to show you this diagram. You can see this. This is basically what explains the process of software development team, right? And you need to, at the interview, you need to be able to talk about who business people are, right? What do they do? Not because they ask you about business, but because you need to talk to them. Say, you know what, I work closely with business and architecture for on the requirements analysis side, right? So that's stating something like this will make you look really good. And again, how do you get there? Reading out loud. Go and find those articles. Wikipedia, software business analysis, or software business analyst, and just start reading that article out loud. Not only you get your lingo, professional lingo, build up very quickly, but you will also pick up on your English skills, right?
Boris, may I interrupt you a little bit?
Yes.
So actually, most of our participants definitely have a strong experience in testing, and they have 2-3 years or sometimes 10 years of experience. And I believe they are quite familiar with this stuff. The thing is, I just want to highlight one thing, that so many of our participants already have experience working with US companies, with Canadian companies, with European companies, so that probably this is what they know for sure.
Beautiful. Thank you for pointing it out. So what I wanted to do next is I actually wanted to show you this. Now, this is the, you know, if your phone is silent, I want to share this approach to building a resume, okay? This resume template, I refer to it as template. I was building literally almost 30 years, since 1995. It was getting better and better and better, in my opinion, because we ended up now, you know, the moment somebody would follow this approach and they build a resume like this, then phone starts ringing right away, especially if you have 5 years of experience, or you're going to have a lot to show here. Now, what do? Simple. So it's very simple. Now, again, if you have a very strong opinion on the resume size and you think that your resume must be 1 page, I am not going to argue with you, okay? I respect your point of view. Unfortunately, my point is completely different. Now, I can tell you, we can get into this conversation and I can give you a long list of reasons why I think that 1-pager is not a good way to go. But for now, I'm going to just show you this, okay? It's completely your decision whether to, you know, take this approach or not. Now, first, your size. I strongly believe, especially if you have experience, your resume needs to be 3 pages in size. Regardless whether you have a lot of experience or very little, 3 pages. Now, why? Because your resume, your actual work experience starts on page 2 in this particular case, in my example, my sample. Now, what do you use page 1 for? Page 1 will cover nothing but summary of qualifications, okay? What does it mean? It means you will list everything you know, everything you worked with, a lot, not much, very little, or even you did a little bit of research, you heard of it, but you would like to work it, still put it there. Now, the level of expertise and all this stuff is a completely different story, but you need to give them everything you can possibly share, all right? Now, in terms of QA, the way I was building it for years is I start with number of years from very top. They all want to see that first. Now, the moment they see number of years, what they want to see next is software development lifecycle. That is the second item in priority, okay? Then you start with concept and methodology, not the technical stuff. You start with concept and methodology, and you gradually get more and more technical, get more and more kind of protocols, tools, technologies, and you see at the end is nothing but acronyms, right? So if you have 10 plus years of experience, then I would suggest totally omit this part. Transferable skills, don't even worry about it, okay? Now, I can tell you that if you a resume, a lot of people do that. If you have things like I'm a quick learner, I'm adaptable, I'm this and that, if half of your resume says nothing but that you're a quick learner, that you're a responsible person, get rid of that stuff. This is all noise. Nobody wants to see it. If I see that the half of your resume says how great of a person and how quick learner you are, I would feel that, you know, my time is being disrespected. Now that, I take it that it comes by default. It's already there by default. I don't want to see it in resume. What I want to see is this stuff. I want to see protocols, programming languages, you know, the processes, tools, technologies, as much as possible, okay? Now, on page, if you have any certificates, you need to use these logos. Put it, literally stick it on top of your resume. What you do is table, no invisible borders, right? One side is your contact information, another side is a couple of images of certificates if you have. If you don't have any, put crest of your university there. Put something. So basically that is part 1, right? Now moving on to page 2. That is where your experience, your relevant experience starts, okay? Now, that's basically page 2 is, that's where your work experience starts. And what I have is nothing but page 2 and page 3 and done, and education, right? Now, how do you build it? See, I only have 3. Experience 1, have experience number 2, and experience number 3. The way you structure that component, the experience component, and I refer to the whole thing as component. Of course, the name of the company, your title, bulleted block. In exactly same way, starting with high level concept and methodology stuff, going down to technical stuff. At the end, what kind of tools and technologies you used, okay? Now, this is completely your choice, whether you do this or not. I think it's a great idea to do this because you can give them a very high level understanding of what this project is about or what this company profile is. Now, if you do this, if you have that little paragraph, be careful from exploding it into a massive half a pager. That's what you see here, 3-liner is a total max. Don't do any more than 3.5 lines for this paragraph, okay? For this part, Sometimes people go crazy, go like 20 bullets. No. 6 bullets at most. 5 is good, 6 at most. But one thing I want you to remember, stay away from single phrase bullets. I can show you something like this. Do you see this bullet? Analyze Moodle LMS cloud infrastructure. Tiny little phrase. Do not do that. That's an awful thing to do. What you need is every bullet needs to be a line and a half, at least 1 full liner. Okay? Very short phrase. Many people have very tiny short phrases in every single bullet. Wrong. Do not do that. Okay? And the same thing for everything else, right? The profile of the organization and things that you did there. Okay. That's pretty much it. All I wanted to share with you about a resume. Okay. I can go on and on talking about how to make sure that your resume generates phone calls. Remember I said that those profiles that you need to create on those job boards, unfortunately, you have to go back to those job boards, delete your resume, and upload it, re-upload it again every few days. Because if your phone starts ringing, it will gradually stop ringing if you don't do that. Okay, you need to, that timestamp, that date should be always very, very recent, 2-3 days ago. Okay, so that's probably it. I mean, guys, I have so much stuff that I can share. That is, I cannot.
Yeah, Boris, thank you very much. Actually, even so, we definitely run out of time, but I believe everyone enjoyed this process because nobody literally left us in the last hour and a half. And I really appreciate it. On one hand, on another hand, I understand it just about you. And I guess it's a good time for questions. Do you have time to answer questions of our participants?
Of course, I'd be happy to.
Okay. Anyone who wants to ask, please go ahead. Unmute yourself. Yeah. Okay, I see two hands raised, and let's start from Vlada.
Thank you so much. It was really useful information and helpful for everyone. So my question regarding, I noticed that in Canada, there is no open feedback. After an interview stage, you might expect some feedback, but you usually don't get any. And if they decided not to hire you, they won't inform you about it. And how can you know if they decided not to hire you or for another reason?
Okay, it's a very good question. What I try to encourage people to do is the moment you're done with the interview, walk out of the interview and forget about it. So this is I think this is not really a right way to just wait, okay, for a response. Remember, I was talking about long list of applications, like agencies to work with and everything, job boards, right? So there you will have, if your resume is good, you're going to have stuff coming your way. So concentrate on the next interview. Here's the thing. Some people send you a reply, some people won't. Sometimes they will not give you any kind of feedback, but they will actually get back to you in a long time, in a couple of months. It happened. I've seen it many times. They come back to you in like 4, 5, 8 weeks and say, hey, thank you so much. That position is now filled, right? They will get back to you in 2 months. So for them, especially for big companies, it can be a lengthy process to fill a couple of roles. Very lengthy. So do not wait. Now, sometimes they will tell you that, you know, it's going to take us 4 or 5 weeks. So what I suggest is do not be shy to reach out to the person that first contacted you. It will be either talent acquisition manager or recruiting manager, recruitment resource manager, or whoever. You will have at least one contact. Send them an email. Send them an email. Do not wait for a week, for 2 weeks. You got to be aggressive in the good way. Okay, so aggressive meaning do not wait for a week. Do not wait for 3 days. You had an interview today. You didn't get an instant response. Write an email right the very next day. Hey, John, have you heard back from ABC? Have they had a chance to review or get back to you on that? Right? So they will get back to you. Either just, you know, stand by, we'll let you know next week or something like that. So do not be afraid, do not be shy to communicate with them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Natasha?
Thank you so much. It's so interesting information and useful, and my mood stay will be better.
Great.
I have a yeah, I have a question about many position has they look experience more 5 years, but I have only 3.5 years experience with manual. And if I will be honest every time with company, I can found new role for me. Can I change my experience in my resume? Because you know some when I applied, I look, you know, they like you don't have enough experience because some it's only manual testing. It's not automation, and you know they want 5 and more experience. And
Okay.
yeah, can I change my?
I can. So I would not recommend just go ahead and change the number. You know, your phone doesn't ring, you change 3 to 7. Your phone doesn't ring, you say you have 10 years. That's not. It doesn't work like that, right? So first of all, think about if you're in quality, specifically in manual. Any job refers to any job that you've done in your life actually has a very solid quality related component to it, right? Did you work with documentation, even if it's not software? Did you work with any manuals? Did you work with any requirements? And I'm not talking about software. This is all QA related stuff, right? Now, what you can do is you can look into your past and see, does it relate? Yes, it is related. So maybe I actually do have more experience than I think. And I you know, for some reason, vast majority of people are being very, very modest in what they have in reality. One of the students I worked with just recently, she told me that she has 2 years of experience. So I started the first meeting with her. We started digging her background, and I could not believe it. She had 13 years of experience, and just because she was shy, she said that she had only 2. So first of all, just don't think that you don't have enough. Look back at what you've done in the past. Is it related to quality in any way? Can you actually rephrase it in the way that is actually was quality related stuff, right? That I assure you, I have been doing it for many, many years. It's really easy to tailor your background and experience from what you were doing, kind of with emphasis, make it and more emphasis on QA, right? And then all of a sudden your profile looks a lot better. Now, also, another for everybody, this is really important. If they ask for 5 years, you know what they do? Everybody goes shopping. Everybody wants to spend as least money possible, but get the better stuff. That's what they do. They ask for 5 years of experience just to make sure that they get 3. At least, because a lot of people are applying with 0 experience, right? So I know it myself. I've done it myself many times. I worked with, you know, people on executive level a lot. So if they are asking for 3 years of experience, they're going to be totally fine talking to you if you have only 1. So all you need to do is you need to get come across as confident person. Say, you know what? Yeah, I may have only 1 years of experience, but I'm quite confident that I'm well qualified. So in that 1 year, I've done so much stuff that I learned so much. I'm quite confident I can do the job. If you do something like this, then you're going to be ahead of everybody. There's a lot of people that are not quite confident with actual experience. I've seen a lot of people with actual 5-7 experience. They come into my interview room and they can't really sell themselves, you know? So I'm thinking, don't really need people that are not confident. So I need people to help me, not to make my life difficult. So I need someone that I don't have to babysit. You understand? So long story short, do not change your profile, but try to find anything related in your background that related to QA. And if you're confident that yes, it can be related to QA, and rephrase, reprofile, only then you can, you know, bump up your years.
Thank you, Natasha. Lyonya.
Hi, Boris. Thank you for the presentation. It was really interesting. And here, I like to see that my resumes lie in the same projections as yours, simple and descriptive. Because I was also looking forward to upgrade it. The question is the following: that like when we're looking for to switch from one work to another, there's usually that the position is look like, but not exactly what you're doing. So it can be different language, different framework, different something that you will always learn. I know that we're all learning on our positions, but at the same time, as we recently joked, that there is something that you learn about while there is something that's required on the market. So from your perspective, what is better? Is jump around or stay focused and look for right place?
You know, there is no such thing as, well, there, of course, there is a right place, but you never know which place is the right for you, right? So you will only learn once you get there. And the job description will never tell you that, even though that you see some things there that, so the approach, my approach is this. When you look at job description, and you, of course, you look at one before you apply, right? So when you look at the job description, a lot of people approach it this way. They look at the number of bullets, right, or paragraph, and they say, okay, I know this, I know that, I know this, oh, I do not know that. And they do not apply. The approach should be completely opposite. You look at the job description and you go, I don't know this, I don't know this, I don't know this, I don't know. Oh, I know this. You see one thing you know, you apply. So this is one thing that I learned over the years that worked really well. It worked really well for me and worked really well for a lot of my students. This is one thing. But then there's another side to it. If they call you back and they invite you for the interview, they say, you know what, we got across your profile. I think we would like to speak with you. Now, when you go there, for many of us, you know, so in this situation, you think, you know what, I don't care. I need any job. But think about it seriously. When you go to the interview and an interviewer or a panel, they're talking to you, and you feel amazing. You feel like these people like your friends, you know, there's everything so casual, relaxing, and you love these people and you feel that they love you, right? So, or another side, and probably some of you have been into this, when you walk in and there's people with a straight face, very formal, they feel like they're being interrogated, right? It's like when you walk out of this interview and you feel awful. It's like, what the hell was that? So just think about it. Interview is a two-way street. And I guarantee you, the kind of experience you went through during the interview, this is what your every day on the job will be like. Okay? So if you want to land, Leonid, if you want to land that job that you call right opportunity, right job, and you're happy in, and you're excited and you want to go to work every single day, just remember that. Think seriously. If you get an offer from those, strict formal people, right? They're going to make your life miserable with business processes, with performance reviews, and it's just going to be a nightmare. So I don't know if I answered your question to a certain extent. Hope I did.
Thank you. Thank you. Leo, anyone else? Do you have any questions? One, two.
Hey, don't be scared. I'll try to be brief. I'll try to shorten my answers.
Can I ask him about?
Okay,
about-
okay, Natasha, go ahead.
Can I ask him about position? Like many position has a lot bullets about they want and automation and manual and I don't know AWS and something else. I don't know. And for my resume, I use one application. This like it's the AI, and always my my resume changed a little bit, and maybe 80% it's like same with position. I mean, points it's about. I have experience with AWS, but not experience. I have good knowledge with AWS, but I don't have experience. But I use these keywords in my resume. But I don't have. For me, nobody calling for me, and I don't know.
That means
maybe
very
maybe
simple.
my resume.
Yeah, very simple. As I said before, don't think about jobs. Don't think about job descriptions. Think about your resume. If your phone is silent, very simple. Your resume is not good. Is number one. Number two, you don't have enough exposure. Go to that your friend ChatGPT and say, give me 15 job boards, most popular job boards in Canada, 15 most popular, and go ahead, create your profile and upload your resume everywhere. Worry about your interview skills later. Once you start getting phone calls, that's it. You're on the roll.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you.
and last question about US. Sorry. I sent my resume. I use I forgot how dice.com.
Dice is good.
Site. Yeah, but I saw about they all asking about W-2. About work permit, American work permit, but I don't have.
If they send you that email, just ignore it. Don't waste time talking to them, okay? Right people not only send you email, they actually will give you a phone call, okay? So, and there will be those that will actually be offering you opportunities in Canada or even in British Columbia, or I mean, I don't know where you're from, but I mean, place where you are.
Yeah, because I when I sent in America, I have calling from America because yeah, in Canada it's silence, always silence, but America it's great.
Just practice, okay? Practice talking to them on the phone. That's what you need. Now, if you don't have if your phone is silent in Canada, again, look at your resume and look at those job boards where you posted your profile, where you posted your resume. Maybe use different job boards and go and re-upload your resume on all of those job boards every 3-4 days. Once a week, for sure, 100%, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any more questions? So we work almost 2 hours. I just want to express my appreciation to Boris. This presentation was really amazing. I believe our participants learn a lot, and that's really important. That really great to have you along and to have you on this webinar. I want to ask a very simple question our audience. So actually, would you like to see Boris again? Can you raise your hand?
Yes.
Yeah, I see many hands already.
Great, thank you guys, thank you. So we talk about a few things, and I tried to compress so much in such a short period of time. So if you interested in talking about certain things, like maybe you only want to know about specifically interviews skills, right? How do you answer questions? How do you, deal with difficult questions? We can do that. If you want to talk about money, which is the most popular topic, we can talk only about money, or, combination of things. Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Honestly, my personal preference is on site. If you guys interested, I can arrange for a session at on site at college on Smith and Beatty. I have a really big auditorium there, so we can use that. Just let Misha know.
There is a small challenge. Not all of our participants are in BC.
Right. Well, we can always do one online.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you giving me your time. Okay, and I hope what I had for you, you found it useful, maybe valuable even, right? If you see my name, you can look me up. You probably quickly find me everywhere. Just, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to have, new connections, and other social media. If you're interested, I'd be happy to connect.
Okay. It looks like it's time to wish everyone a good night, and we'll meet again.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.